Mr. Lewis, can you hear me?
I can, thank you, Judge.
All right. Okay. Are you ready, Mr. Lewis?
I am, thank you, Judge.
Is the state ready?
Yes, Judge, we're ready. I can call the matter.
Okay, go ahead.
This is State versus Traquon Grubbs, present via video and represented by Mr. Lewis. We have Mr. Grubbs. We're before the matter on, before this court on the warrant number 20W13410, charge of possession of marijuana with intent to distribute. I believe there is a cash bond right now on that charge. We have a single officer, single witness, Officer Earl, present, and we're ready to proceed.
Okay, Mr. Grubbs, obviously you have Mr. Lewis there to represent you on this. I'm sure he's informed you we're doing these hearings by Zoom pursuant to a Supreme Court order due to the COVID-19 pandemic. If at any time you want to speak with your attorney, just let him know. We can create a breakout room where you can speak to your attorney where no recording will be done and there will be no visual, so you'll get a chance to speak with him privately if you all need to do that. Mr. Lewis, have you informed your client about the streaming onto YouTube?
I have not. That what is happening here is going to be streamed onto YouTube Live. I have not.
Okay, so Mr. Grubbs, what is happening is normally these hearings are held in an open courtroom, which means other people can come in and sit and watch the proceedings. Since we're not doing that because of COVID, what we are doing is we are live streaming this to YouTube. It is not kept as any kind of record. It is meant to kind of mimic the open courtroom. Okay? All right. If there's nothing preliminary, does the state want to call its witness?
Sure. Officer Earl, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Can you introduce yourself to the court?
Yep, I'm Officer Brett Earl with Gwinnett County Police Department.
And can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. The Officer Earl, are you post-certified?
I am.
How long have you been with Gwinnett County Police Department?
About 3 years.
Were you in law enforcement prior to that?
No, I was not.
All right. Were you responsible for taking out the warrant against Mr. Grubbs for possession of marijuana with intent to distribute?
Yes, I was.
That would have been on September 23rd, 2020. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Can you tell us what led to you seeking that warrant?
Yes. That night we were, there was multiple units out in Central Precinct, all the CRTs as well as our uniform gangs and some undercover gangs. Investigator Ricks was an undercover unit out in plain clothes, watching the gas station. It's a Texaco on the corner of Old Norcross Road and Sweetwater. He saw a vehicle which he described as, I believe it was a gray Nissan, pull into the parking lot of the Texaco, where a male that was standing outside walked up to the vehicle, and it looked to what appeared to be some kind of maybe a narcotics deal of some kind. Investigator Ricks called it out over the radio what he saw, and Officer Buckner and I were able to locate the vehicle going down Boggs Road off of Old Norcross and make a traffic stop based on running the tag of the vehicle, showed expired registration and no insurance. The vehicle pulled into apartment complex, I think it was 1470 Boggs Road, but it's one of those apartment complex off Boggs Road. Explained Mr. Grubbs was the driver. There was a Robert Calvert was the passenger in the front seat at the time. Explained to Mr. Grubbs why we pulled him over for the registration and no insurance. We asked for consent to search the vehicle, which he allowed us to do. We had the driver and the passenger step out.
Let me stop you there. Was that location on Boggs Road? That's in Gwinnett County?
Yes, it is.
And were there any issues pulling him over?
No.
Okay. Were you the driver of your own vehicle?
Yes.
Okay, and Officer Buckner, was he in your patrol vehicle with you?
Yes.
All right. Were you in full uniform
Yes.
at the time?
Yes,
And
we were.
your vehicle was a marked patrol?
Marked patrol car,
vehicle?
correct.
Was there anyone else in the vehicle other than the two individuals you've spoken about?
No, it was just those two.
All right, and the consent to search, how was that obtained? Just verbally, or did you?
Just verbally asked Grubbs for consent to search vehicle, which he agreed to do.
All right. Can you tell us what happened then after
Yes,
did you actually search the vehicle?
Yes, we searched the vehicle. Upon search, we located a bag of a green leafy material consistent with marijuana under the driver's seat in a traditional lunch sandwich bag. It's just about smaller than a fist, which is typically just under an ounce. There was a backpack in the back seat behind the driver's seat that contained a similar amount of marijuana, but separated into different sandwich bags. It was either 2 or 3. Also, there was a digital scale in the driver door, and in the backpack there was a box of those same sandwich bags that we found the green leafy material in. In total, the amount of green leafy material was about 40 grams. Mr. Grubbs was Mirandized, asked about the marijuana located in the car, which he claimed to be his. He also stated, we asked him about what we observed at the gas station, and he stated that he did make a sale of 1 gram of marijuana for $10. Based on this, he was placed under arrest for possession with intent to distribute amounts in separated in different quantities, a digital scale, and sandwich bags found with marijuana, as well as what the marijuana was packaged in.
Where was the box of the empty sandwich bags? Did you say those were in the trunk?
That was in the backpack.
Oh, in the backpack. Okay.
Yes.
And,
in the trunk, there was other Ziploc bags that had marijuana residue in them, in Ziploc bags that we see used to transport or what people have, but it was clearly older.
And in speaking with the defendant, did he take responsibility for all of the marijuana that was in the vehicle?
Yes.
And did you field test the marijuana?
No.
Okay. Did you, were you able to observe it? Were you able to actually make observations of the substance?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Did you examine the substance? I know you said it was in multiple, separated into multiple quantities. Did you examine all of it?
Yes.
Okay. Have you made drug arrests before?
Absolutely.
Have you made specifically arrests for possession or possession with intent to distribute, manufacture marijuana?
Yes, I have.
All right. And have you been trained in recognizing, have you been trained in some level of basic drug recognition?
Yes, trained mixed with just experience over the last 3 years.
Okay. And what you observed of those quantities, was it consistent with marijuana in your training and experience?
Yes.
And the defendant, I believe you testified, he did admit that it was in fact marijuana?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see the defendant in court here today?
I do.
Can you point him out? Just tell us what he's wearing for the record.
Yes, he's wearing a green jumpsuit with a COVID mask jail courthouse video on my screen.
Witnesses identified.
Jail video.
Defendant, Judge, we don't have any further questions.
Got to remember to unmute myself. Any cross?
Yes, Judge, thank you. Good morning, officer. Let me start here. Officer, was your body cam on during the traffic stop?
Yes.
Okay, and so have you had a chance to look at that body cam post-arrest?
I haven't reviewed it, no.
Okay, but if the body cam were working, it should capture the verbal consent that was made by my client to search the vehicle. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, and if the body cam was working, it should have also captured the admission by my client that all the marijuana in the vehicle was his. Is that right?
Yes, it might not be my body camera. There were a lot of officers, different people were interviewing others, but everyone was wearing body cameras that were what should have been running.
Okay, so I may end up looking at 3 or 4 body cams, but if the body cams were operational, if someone's body cam would have captured that my client made the admission that all the marijuana in the vehicle was his. Is that right?
Yes.
Was the co-defendant arrested? The other person in the vehicle, I guess I shouldn't call him a co-defendant if he wasn't arrested. Was he arrested?
No, he was not.
Okay.
What was that last part, sir?
My question was the other person in the vehicle on the day that my client was arrested, was that person arrested?
No, he was not.
Okay. And was he not arrested because my client was the person that made the admission that all the marijuana was his?
Correct.
Okay. There was no talk about any money at all, either being on my client or being on the other person who was not arrested. Do you recall if there was money on my client?
I don't recall there being any significant amount of money on your client.
Well, let me ask this question. Do you recall there being at least the $10 that my client said that he received in the sale at the gas station?
I can't remember.
Okay. All right. Let me ask this question. You indicated that Investigator Ricks was the first person that called in for his observations. And my question is, did Officer Ricks just happen to be there and saw this, or was this sort of an operational exercise where he was watching the area?
He was watching that area specifically.
Okay. And the marijuana that you found, if I understand you correctly, part of it was underneath the driver's seat and part of it was in a backpack. Is that right?
Correct.
The vehicle, and I'm really dealing with the part under the driver's seat first. The vehicle, do you recall who the vehicle was registered to? Well,
No, I don't.
Do you recall my client said it's his vehicle, his mother's vehicle? Do you recall that?
No, I don't recall.
All right. The backpack itself, did it contain any other identifying information that would have linked the backpack to my client? Did it school ID, library cards, anything like that?
I don't remember.
Okay, that's fine. And that's a fine answer. Do you recall if there were any smoking implements in the car? Any grinder, anything, any bong, anything to smoke marijuana? Do you recall if anything like that was in the car?
I don't think so.
All right. You don't recall any burnt odor of marijuana in the car? Is that fair to say?
No, there was no burnt odor.
Okay. Before the search began, do you recall if there was any odor of unburnt marijuana? Just raw marijuana? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, you recall, or yes, there was?
Yes, there was an odor of fresh marijuana.
Okay. 1 second, Judge. I think you took 2 other warrants, Deputy Officer. I think you took a warrant for driving without insurance and unregistered vehicle. Do you recall that?
Yes, expired tag and no insurance.
Okay. And again, this goes to my question about ownership of the vehicle. Do you recall this may refresh your memory, may not. In your preparing those 2 warrants, the car is not registered properly. The car doesn't have any insurance. Do you recall who the owner of the vehicle was?
No, I don't. Off the top of my head, I don't recall who the owner of the vehicle was, but we hold whoever the driver is, whoever's in charge of that vehicle is ultimately responsible for the condition of the vehicle, whether that's insurance or registration. They have to be prepared to take responsibility when driving that vehicle.
And I certainly understand that. My question more goes to what may be found in the car underneath the seat. What was found in the car, the marijuana underneath the seat, that wasn't in plain view, was it?
No.
Okay, all right. I don't have any further questions.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Can this witness be excused?
Yes, please, Judge.
Thank you, officer.
Thank you, sir.
We have nothing further to present, Judge. State rests.
Anything from the defense?
Judge, there's no evidence, and respectfully, I would have a long, torturous argument about the marijuana underneath the seat and the marijuana in the backpack, where there's no identifying information in the backpack regarding my client, except the officer has explained that my client said that it was all his marijuana. And so that saves us about 15 to 20 minutes in argument, and I'll just submit that.
Okay. All right, we appreciate that. Are there any other matters we need to take up?
Judge, I'm not going to address any issue of bond. I think this case may be scheduled with another case to be resolved globally on Tuesday, but I wanted to hear the evidence so that I didn't have to fight through any of the discovery. So I think I understand what the evidence is in the event that the judge on Tuesday has any questions about the evidence. It may be a quiz on Tuesday. What do I know about the case? Considering I have no evidence, but I'll know something because I heard prelim this morning.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Addressing the bond.
Okay. Anything else from the state?
No, Judge. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Thanks, Judge.